What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of a real estate podcast. So what we doing today? What are we doing today? Hold on. Y'all know how I feel about the slant. Is this gonna annoy me? It's gonna annoy me. I feel like I'm more on the slant. Hold on. I gotta bring this down. Am I right? How I'm looking? How I'm looking? I'm looking smooth. I'm looking smooth. All right. So welcome to another episode of a real estate podcast, right? Let's make this screen a little bit bigger just for me. All right. So what's going on, good people? Really appreciate you. So today we have Charles, the Handsome Homebuyer. Now, from what I know, he's based out of New York. He's an investor. So he buys properties, rehabs them, and flips them, puts them back on the market, right? He has a huge team, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my gosh, like he actually fell into my pipeline, you know. I'm looking him up right now, right? Handsome Homebuyer. He has over 6,000 followers, guys. Over 6,000 followers, and he's crushing it. He has his own podcast. He has his own YouTube channel. He's a real estate investor, and you can text him, you know, get tips and everything like that from him. So I reached out and I really just, you know, I extended the olive branch, like, you know, Charles, I see what's going on. One of my good colleagues, Manuel, the man with the plan, he actually follows him as well, right? He followed him first. So what happened was he, you see what I'm doing with the podcasting and everything like that. So he said, yo, it's this guy named Charles. Sorry, no COVID. Charles, the Handsome Homebuyer. You know, I think you should give him a shout. You know, he's real okay with, you know, coming on somebody's platform. He said he'll do a podcast for somebody, so on and so forth. So, you know, I extended the olive branch. I listened to him, and I was more so on the effect of, if this guy curves me, oh my gosh, you know. But you know, sometimes the mirror my video thing, when it doesn't mirror it, it kind of like gets you confused, like what's going on, right? So we have a few questions. I'm not going to take up a lot of his time today. But this guy, he's a monster. He's a monster. Every other day he's putting up like new content. Well, every day he's putting up new content, but every other day he's putting up, like, you know, what he's doing with his team, what he's like. And me, myself, as of right now, I am not in the investor lane of real estate. I'm not. As of right now, what I am doing, I'm a seasoned real estate agent. However, I do have my own questions, and I would like clarity on a few things, you know, just like I know a lot of people would, like, okay, like, how do you do this and how do you do that? How do you go about this, that, and the third? And honestly, it's a lot of questions that I might get answered that I don't even know how to ask, because I'm not there to ask those kind of questions. So I wouldn't know. So bear with me a little bit if you see that I'm kind of going off on a tangent sometimes, and you know, I'm seeming like I don't know what I'm talking about, because honestly, a part of me doesn't. You know, I've never done it before. I've worked with investors. As a matter of fact, the first property I ever sold, 15556 Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn, New York. I'm sorry, in Queens, New York, Jamaica, New York. I was an investor. You know, he bought it, he rehabbed it, tried to FISBO it, and you know, a lot of people came at him with so on and so forth, whatever. And I came genuine, boom, 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 boom. I actually have a very funny story about that. I'll put it on another episode of a real estate podcast. But that was a funny story. I actually spoke about it before, but I didn't go too far into details about it. But I definitely will. Right, we're going like stories of a real estate agent or stories of a realtor. Charles is in the building.
Yeah, buddy.
What's going on?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm fine. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. This is my freaking year right now. I'm taking over the world. Hold on. Let me shut the door.
All right. Oh, man, this is exciting.
Where they interact as a group. And at least, especially for the newer people.
Making fucking moves on me.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Dude, you look fresh in this suit. You got the pocket square and shit. You're on point right now.
I had to get flea for my guy, I had to start looking good for my guy. You know how that go, man.
Got the tight background. Nice, man. I'm honored. I appreciate the invite. Very cool of you. Thank you.
Nah, I thank you for, I reached out to Olive Branch. I thank you for accepting.
Of course, man. Of course.
Definitely an honor.
This is your show. Talk to me. What's the deal?
Yeah, so a new venture that I'm going on right now. I do real estate. I'm a real estate agent. You're an investor, and it's a new venture. Let me test out the podcasting game. Let me be. You gotta be a part of media nowadays. Brand yourself and market yourself. Get in front of the cameras and connect and network. So right now, I believe this is my 10th or 11th episode.
Nice.
And we named it a real estate podcast.
There you go.
Keep it simple. My broker always say, "Kiss, keep it simple, stupid." So
yeah.
It doesn't get more.
What brokerage you with?
Ideal Properties Group.
Okay. Where are you guys out of? The boroughs or out here?
Out of the boroughs. We're in Manhattan, and 3 offices are in Brooklyn.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And where are you located?
I'm in Long Island. So
Long Island.
My office is in Farmingdale.
Mm-hmm.
It's my podcast studio right behind me.
Dope.
And, yeah, man. This is what I do. I love this stuff. It works, dude. It definitely works. I mean, I don't know if you're seeing feedback from it yet. I'm sure you are. That you have you aired 10 episodes?
Yeah, as of right now, they're on what's going on here? Can you see me?
Yep, I can see you.
All right, awesome. I don't know what just happened, but let me fix this back up. Yeah, so I can't see you. I don't know what just happened, man. This thing is like a little freaky. Oh, I can see you. Awesome. So yeah, I put it on YouTube as of right now. So I'm not getting the major amount of views I would like, unfortunately. It kind of sucks.
Do you have it on are you using Anchor as the platform for the audio?
I'm actually I'm going to rip the audio off of YouTube and put it on Anchor. I did that with another like podcast that I do on Instagram, basically. A relationship podcast where so we use Anchor for that, and it does syndicate to about 6 other, including Spotify, 6 other platforms. So that's definitely something that I'm going to do.
Good for you, man. That's great.
But how did you get into like what sparked in your mind to say, you know what, I'm going to get into the podcasting game? Like,
are we live yet or no?
Yeah, we're definitely live.
Oh, this is like a real thing. We're doing this already. All
yeah.
Right, cool. I didn't realize. So I started this podcast like probably like 4 years ago in like a roach infestment basement in Levittown. I no video, just straight audio, and I would put it on YouTube. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I went on somebody else's podcast, like in the earlier days of podcast before it was big, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to have fun with it. And then I started doing it, and there's so many amazing things that come out of doing podcasts. I mean, it's a great platform to get attention, and once you have attention, you can, steer that attention anywhere you want, providing you're, an ethical guy or girl. And then secondly, it enables you to build relationships with your guests who can be people that you would otherwise probably never get the opportunity to sit down with in that kind of like, close, intimate forum.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had some heavy hitters on my podcast that I would never meet, but if you call them up and say, "Hey, listen, I have a podcast," they're like, "Oh, that's cool," because the novelty of being on a podcast is interesting. So they want to see what it's about, and most people really like talking about themselves. So it just ends up being a win-win-win scenario.
Yeah, most definitely. It's crazy that you said that, right? I'm in real estate. This is my 3rd year in real estate, right? So, I was doing what the typical agents would do, which is, YouTube, other people, other agents, where I'm trying to be, so on and so forth. And, I would see like the Chaston J. Miles and Ricky Caruths, Brian Cancellas, and the Loda Velasquez's and everybody. And then I would never meet these people, like I'm in New York, they're all over the place. They're in Dallas, they're in Southern California, they're in, Orange, wherever. They're all over the place, places that I may never go. I don't know. And me reaching out, via podcast is kind of like, now I'm able to actually have a conversation with them, and now they know who I am. I know, like, wow, like we're laughing, we're joking, we're doing everything, the internet is beautiful, man.
That's crazy. It gives you so many. Listen, you got to be out there having conversations with people, especially in COVID. So this is like the virtual networking tool, where you can't go out and meet people in the same way that you did before. So how are you going to do it now? And then the very cool thing, like the even cooler byproduct of all of this, is just the impact you have on random people's lives that you don't even know.
Definitely.
So I get like DMs every day, like people thanking me, saying I changed their life and shit, that they're into. Now they're doing real estate deals, or I inspire them to go in and do this or that. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, dude, I'm just I'm just a Jewish kid from Long Island. What the hell? So it's very cool. It's a very cool thing. And I'm sure if you haven't gotten that already, you're going to in the near future.
Yeah, I see a lot of people, they say, what, Chris, what you're doing, the marketing and things that you're doing, it's inspiring, and thank you. And, not too many, because again, like I'm barely struggling to get 10, 15 views sometimes, to just be totally honest. But it's just like, the people that do see it, and the people that see me on the Instagram and things like that, it actually pushes me and keeps me going. But you guys are like reaching out to me saying I'm an inspiration, and it's like, listen, I'm still trying to get it,
Yeah. Now listen, you got to be out there doing it for the experience, because it's fun and to help other people. But it's a process, man. I mean, listen, you look at any like, the big guys that have generating a lot of content, that have a lot of attention. I mean, they've been doing it for at least 10 years. So you really need, like, I don't even really think people really start hearing you on like on a decent scale until you're consistent for at least like 5 years.
Woo!
It takes a lot of time, man. Unless there's like one thing, you just hit it out of the park and you get all this attention. But still, even that, like, it took me like 3 years of making YouTube videos more to hit 1,000 subs. And I hit 1,000 subs like 3 weeks ago, and now I'm at 1,800 subs. Like, there's just, there's this point where you like bust your ass, and all of a sudden the wheel starts turning, and you're like, oh, you start getting traction. But there's so much hard work that goes into getting to that place.
How do you constantly think of like content though? Like sometimes I just be having like the craziest brain farts when I'm in front of the camera, talking to the camera, where it's just like, like, how do you constantly do that, Charles?
So, I mean, a bunch of different things. Like I happen to be pretty good at that naturally. Like, I just come up with creative shit. I get inspiration from looking and watching and listening to other people's shit. And then the easiest thing that I always tell people, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to create content about. I'm like, just think about your daily life. So you're a realtor, obviously, right?
Yeah.
We get off this podcast. You get a phone call from one of your clients, either someone that's going to list a house, wants to list a house, wants to buy a house. You have the listing, whatever it is. You're talking to another agent. Whatever that conversation is about, there's something in that conversation, at least one thing, if not multiple things, that you could turn into content. So I'll give you a stupid example.
Mhm.
You get a call from somebody. They're like, hey, listen, Bill gave me your number. He said you're a great agent. I'm really looking for a property in Queens. Would you mind showing me some properties? And then you say, yeah. And then you start discussing with them, the process. This is what the market is like. Do you have a pre-approval, right? If you don't, who are you working with? I'd like to speak to them. And then all of a sudden, that turns into a video. And the video is like, top 3 things you need to know before going to look at any properties as a first-time home buyer. Or, what questions you should ask when selecting a mortgage broker, or questions you should ask when selecting a buyer's agent to work with. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So just take your everyday life and your experiences every day and turn them into content.
That's dope you said that, because like that's not even a question that I had written down on the paper. Like that's really like a genuine, because sometimes I would just be like, oh man, what can I talk about? I feel like I talked about it all, and it's just like, and then like to satisfy the algorithm to drag something out for a minimum of 10 minutes, it's kind of like, how do I talk about this one thing for 10 minutes without digging into the other piece of content that I have? Because I'll do bulk recording. So I record 4 or 5 videos, 10 minutes a piece, so I could be able to, schedule them a week apart,
man, too, it's like I don't overthink content. Like, yeah, would it be perfect to have this 10-minute video? But you know what? If the video comes up and it's 6 minutes, then and it's great, then people are gonna find it eventually. You just have to be consistently putting out good shit.
Mhm.
And here's the thing also. This is the thing that like people get bogged down by. You don't need, what would you rather have? Would you rather have 100,000 people watching a video, but only 3 of them are into your services? Or would you rather have 5,000 people watching your video and 100 people into your services?
Definitely. Choice B.
It's quality over quantity. You want to appeal to the people that you want to appeal to. It's not so that you could be like, oh, look how many views I have. It's like, yo, look how much fucking business I'm doing.
That's deep right there. That's deep. You just really made me rearrange my entire thinking about about content just now. That really helps. Now, what made you get into, there's tons of subcategories into real estate, right? When I got into real estate, Charles, all I knew was I wanted to be in real estate.
Okay.
I didn't know I wanted to be an agent. I just knew real estate. I wanted to do something with selling houses. Now, once I got into being an agent, it was like totally different. And that's when I realized there were subcategories of it. What made you decide to be an investor? Because you rehab properties, flip them, and things. Am I correct?
Yeah. So I do anywhere from 70 to 110 houses a year. Plus I do commercial development. So
Okay.
I have a recent master's degree at NYU in real estate development.
Oh.
I just got a 130 bed assisted living facility approved. I'm doing another 115, working on a deal with Popeyes right now.
Oh man, what?
I'm all over the place, bro. So real like short version of it is when I was 27, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
At the time,
That's a great book.
Crazy book, dude. They should give that to us in high school instead of the other worthless crap they make us read.
Definitely.
So, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and at the time I owned a Mako body shop franchise in Hempstead, which I didn't really love, but it was a great experience for me. And I said I want to be a professional investor. That's it. So I took a 1-day intensive course at NYU in foreclosures, because when anybody gets into real estate investing, they're always like, oh, banks are just giving houses away. That's what we should do. But no, obviously we realized once you get into it that that's not the case. But through that process, they told me to go and join the local RIAs. So RIA stands for Real Estate Investment Association, and they have these RIA groups all over the country, Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, Tennessee, everywhere. So I went there and I met my mentor, Carl Chavone, and I trained with him for almost 4 years before I ever did a deal.
Sheesh.
And then, yeah, man, sky's the limit. So I've been in this game in total for 10 years. I've been an active real estate investor for 6 years, and I've done over 400 houses in the last 5 years.
That's so all right. In the meantime of you, because he was your mentor and you were the mentee, right?
Yep.
The 4 years, what did you do in between that time to keep the boat afloat?
So I was owning and operating the Mako franchise.
Oh,
So
still, okay.
Yeah. So I had a full-time job and I was doing that. And again, I trained with him for like 3 years before I was ready to do my first deal. And there was a lot of like kind of finding myself as an investor and what my model wanted to be during that time. And finally, when I was ready, it took me a year just to get my first deal. So I was out there 7 days a week trying to find a deal. It took me a year until I finally got the first deal. Got the first deal. It went literally exactly as planned. Then I did the second deal. And then that was proof of concept. I put the Mako up for sale and I'm like, I'm out. Because I made enough money on those 2 deals that would float me through the entire next year. And I knew that if I had the time to go in and devote 150% to investing, that I would blow up. And the first year in real estate, I did 11 houses, then I did 40 houses, then I did 67 houses.
So they just
kept going and going and going.
So all right, because there's tons of videos on YouTube, right, that says get into real estate investing with no money down, like you don't use your own money. Is that something that's true? Have you ever like dove into that? Like,
yeah, so you can do that. That's very possible, but you have to have the education and really know what you're doing, and then build your team. So I'll give you an example. Let's say, and I'm going to use like fictitious round numbers here so that it makes sense. Let's say I'm going to sell a house for $400,000. It's going to cost me $100,000 to renovate it. My, soft costs and costs of money are going to be $50,000, and I want to make $50,000. So that means I can only pay $200,000 for this piece of property.
Okay.
Now I've already factored in I don't have any money, and I have to raise, and to fund this whole project, it's going to take $350,000, right? Because I'm looking to make $400,000. I'm looking to make $50,000, and it's done for $400,000. So I need $350,000 to take this project to the term, and I don't have any money, which means I have to raise $350,000, which is very possible. You get somebody who's going to, you stack the financing. So you get a major lender, either a hard money lender if you don't have the relationships, or you go out there like I do and you raise private money and they get a secured position. And let's say they're going to lend you $250 of the $350 that you need. And then you go out and you get unsecured promissory investors like family, friends, people that are comfortable with you to lend you increments that add up to that extra 100,000. And now you've put it together with no money out of your own pocket, and you're actually paying them with your interest, but you're paying their interest with their own money, but you have to know what you're doing. Because if that thing goes sideways, you're really screwed. But if you know what you're doing, and I do this stuff all the time, you're going to make that money and not have any money out of your own pocket.
Wow.
So it is a very possible thing to do, but it requires a tremendous amount of education to get there. So
it's not just watch a YouTube video.
Nah. This shit is like, I'm going to put a video actually about this out. I'm going to put it out later on today, which is, there's a lot of misconceptions. Like real estate investing is not an easy thing to do.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Meaning, you flip on one of these flip shows, and in 30 minutes, the house goes from being a total bag of dog shit to the nicest thing you've ever seen. And
like HGTV?
Yeah, everything went horribly wrong, and they overpaid for the house, and it's just drama for the whole thing. But then they still make $1 million at the end, and life is good, right? It's not the way this works. That it's hard. It requires like struggle. It requires sacrifice. It requires like pressure. It requires a lot. Every day is freaking absolute pandemonium, dude. Like I have like 40 something projects running at any given time. It's nuts. So in order to be able to handle that, you need to spend time getting educated. Like I always tell people, they say to me, "Oh, Charles, I want to do what you do. I want to do 100 houses a year like you." And I'm like, "Great, I'm going to tell you." And they're like, "Yes." They get all excited and they're like, "This is awesome. He's going to tell me." And I'm like, "You call Carl Chavone, you train with him. It's going to take you at least a year of 7-day-a-week training. And then hopefully you'll be ready after a year, but it's going to take you at least a year and probably longer. It took me 3 years." And then they're like, you see them like just deflate, right? You like people think that I'm going to say one thing or give them one piece of advice or give them one phone number and it's going to just set them free. That's not the way this works. It's like constant, ridiculous, sickening work ethic and commitment to whatever it is that you love.
They're looking for that
quick fix.
Yeah, that nugget, that shortcut, that I don't know, like I guess because it's the same thing with agents. Like when agents come into the brokerage and they talk to me, hey Chris, you know, how's real estate and so on and so forth. And they just think that is just, again, like HGTV, you show a client, 3 houses, they make an offer right then and there, like in front of all of these, they don't even think like there's cameras there or whatever. So yeah, you're taking these clients on a tour and they're in this beautiful house and they put an offer in and then they got accepted and then it's just that easy. And it's totally different. It's chaos. It's chaos.
Listen, the biggest realtors on Long Island, like, I'm privileged to be friends with agents on Long Island that do 50 to 205 deals a year, right? The range. These guys and girls are relentless, bro. They are, and they give up a lot to do that. So they're door knocking, they're cold calling 5 days a week. They're running heavy social media. They have constant contact email blasts. They're networking left and right. I mean, they don't stop. They're relentless. And there's a lot that goes into that. But the cool thing about real estate in general is it could be as big or as little as you want it to be.
Yep.
And for everybody, it's different, and that's cool. It's like, how much money do you want to make? How much money is enough? How much time do you want? How much do you want to have a family? Do you want to have kids? How much time do you want to spend with them? Do you want to be married? Whatever it is, like real estate can award you any life you want.
Let me ask you this. Now I want to know how synonymous this is in the investment world. Now, most people get into the real estate agent side because they feel you can make your own schedule, you can be your own boss. I immediately tell them that is not the case. Depending on how many clients you have, depicts how many bosses you have. And there's actually subcategories of bosses that go along that as well. So let's say you're working with a family of 2, a wife and a husband. You have 2 bosses because you got to satisfy both of them. Then you also got to satisfy their kids. And some people want their dog to be happy and the dog to feel like home. So now the dog is your boss, and then they want their parents to see the house, so on and so forth. So now just from that one transaction or one thing right there, you have like 7 bosses, but you're working with 8 sets of buyers. Yeah. So not only do you not have, the privilege to be your own boss, you also can't make your own schedule because now you're working on these other people's schedule, and somebody wants to see a house at this time. Somebody wants to call you at this time, so on and so forth. So it's tons of chaos, So it's a big misconception in the real estate agent world, the real estate broker world. How true or synonymous is that with you guys?
I mean, do I think it's like, I have a lot of respect for you, bro, because I couldn't do what you do because like I do what I do and I let agents sell all my properties because people are crazy and I don't want to deal with them in any capacity. So I give you a lot of props for that. You must have a lot of patience. On the investor side, it's, similar, but different, but the cool part about real estate in general, whether it be selling houses or flipping houses, is like there's real money in this game. So it depends on what you're into. Like, if you're doing luxury in Manhattan and you're selling a, let's say a $3 million condo, even if you're taking, let's say 2% commission is $60K. Let's say you want to make 150 grand a year. That means you just have to do 3 deals a year and you're doing it. Same kind of thing with flipping houses. Let's say in your market, you can make 50,000 a house and you want to make $150,000 a year and you want a certain amount of time to yourself. You could do that. You get those 3 deals a year and you're loving life. So real estate can be whatever it wants to be. If you want to be highly, highly successful at something, now that's a different ballgame.
Got it.
That's really a different ballgame. But and if you're getting, I'm not going to say it's bad to get into something because you want your time to be your own, because that might be your motivation and you're happy making $38,000 a year and you have a ton of time off, and you live very modestly, and you travel, and whatever your passion is, you know what I mean? Or real estate might enable you to pursue your passion, which might be, music or design or art or whatever. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair. I feel like even if we do like let's say we do 3 deals in real estate as an agent or as a broker, it broken down to that number of 3 in the minds of somebody outside of real estate just seems like, okay, you're just doing 3, but to get to that point of the 3, the cold calling that you have to do, the constant follow-up you have to do, the marketing. Let's say you're doing open houses, you're doing the showings and things like that. It might take 3-4 months of just consistent dealing with one of those 3 that happens, or that's 3 deals that closed, but you might have had 5 or 6 in your pipeline that you were dealing with, and a couple of those fell apart, so it's a crazy game in the agent world. Like, I don't know, like how chaotic is it in the investment world? Like,
Freaking nuts. It's madness all the time, bro. It is absolutely pandemonium. I gutted a house with a squatter sitting in the living room the other day. Like, it's like, bro, it doesn't end. Like, it is. If there's anything if you think there's anything you could do other than get up every morning and just ride whatever the hell happens, you got another thing coming. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. But that's when it has to lend itself to your personality. Like, I like chaos. I don't like not being very busy. I don't like, just not having a million things going on at the same time. That would make me uncomfortable. Like I don't want to sit on the beach with a drink in the sun. I would lose my goddamn mind.
When I take days off, I took the other day off to paint my fiance's room and ceiling and things like that. She's like, I need this room painted, da 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 da. And I had so much anxiety because I wasn't in the office.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta follow up with these clients. It's Mondays, my follow-up Mondays. I gotta follow up. And she's, Christian, take a day off. And it's, oh my gosh, I thought I was gonna pass out or something, man.
But then you also have to say to yourself, like, what's the highest and best use of my time? Like, if you're out there cranking and you can get a deal that makes you $10,000, it's worth it just to, pay somebody $1,500 to go paint that room. Or, as you get going, your time becomes so valuable, and you pay for time savings is basically what starts to happen.
It's crazy that you even say that, because I told a couple of people, a big saying of mine is, when you're in real estate on the agent side, think about this, because people will waste your time with a smile on their face, with a smile on their face, and not be remorseful about it at all. They'll just thank you for your time, and you just, you sacrifice so much, but people will waste your time with a smile on their face with no sorries about it. So if I could sum up time with a word, it would be life. Like, time is life, if I could describe it.
Yeah.
And you got to protect your time with your life like it's life, because it is. You'll never get that back.
No, that's real talk, man. And that's why, listen, buyer-broker agreements, I'm all for buyer-broker agreements with agents, but you can't be a shitty agent and want a buyer-broker agreement. You have to be a value-adding agent. And obviously time is money, and people don't have loyalty because they just don't get it. So they jump around and they'll go to open house and just put an offer in through the agent, even though they've been working with you for freaking 3 months. But so that's why I support buyer brokerage, but you have to be delivering value as an agent. You have to be doing the research. You have to be in the trenches. Like, I tell every agent, I'm like, yo, go become an appraiser. Like, why? Not one agent. I've told this to hundreds of agents. Not one agent's ever listened to me. I'm like, go become an appraiser. Why? I'm like, you walk into a listing appointment with 10 other agents, and the homeowner's like, who's the best agent? Everyone's going to raise their hand. Who's going to do it for 4%? Everybody raises a hand. You know, who's going to sell it faster? Everyone's going to raise a hand. Everyone's going to say the same thing. So now I'm sitting here as the owner of the house being like, who do I give this thing to?
Mm-hmm.
And then the one agent turns around and says, listen, I'm a market expert. I have an appraisals license. I have a certificate hanging on my wall. I am a certified appraiser. These people are just giving an opinion. I have the credentials to do this and make a living at it. And I don't. But I want the knowledge to be the best agent possible to get you the most money fastest with the best set of terms out there. Who's getting the listing?
That's dope. Oh my, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
doing that.
I even tell agents, I'm like, listen, go get your license to do mortgages. And then maybe you can refer mortgages and get some money that way, whatever. But that's not the point. The point is when you're dealing with when you're dealing with somebody who's, let's say, selling a house, you're going to tell them, hey, I'm an appraiser. I know exactly what this thing's going to sell for. I'm an expert. I'm also a mortgage person and I don't do mortgages, but I'm certified to do mortgages, which means I'm going to be able to vet all these deals that come in the door in a way that no other agent can, because there's a lot of deals that fall apart. There's a lot of things that go on that drag out, and we're looking to get the best deal done as fast as possible.
Charles, you're dropping so much gems. I feel like this is not even like an episode. Like this is just a conversation between the two of us, because I never thought of that. I've never thought of that.
You want to put yourself as an agent in a position where you can sell your services and separate yourself from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that comes with you building an amazing team as well. So that's, let's say, an architect and permit expediter. So you're walking into Queens, you're like, hey, listen, when you get Chris Newton, you just don't get Chris Newton. You get a force of people. Because I'm great at what I do, which is sell the shit out of your house. But I'm not the best architect in the world because I don't know anything about it. But I have the best architect in the area on my team, and he's going to do a full analysis of your property and pull all the cards to make sure that you don't have any CO violations or anything like that. That's going to jam us up on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you know what I mean? Like I have a tax grievance expert who is already giving you a free tax grievance review, and he's going to tell you if your property is overassessed or underassessed. If it's overassessed, he's going to provide a letter that we're going to attach to the listing to show that we can get the taxes reduced by $6,000, which might entice buyers. We're going to file the grievance, which you're not going to have to pay for, which the end buyer is ultimately going to pay for in 18 months and thank you for it when they end up saving $6,000 a year on their taxes. Like this is the kind of shit agents got to do, and none of them do it. None of them.
That's, jeez. You know why? A lot of, I'm gonna say us because I'm included. A lot of us, one, are either unknowledgeable or lazy. Like we don't want to do the research. We don't want to do a lot feel like it's too much work to do the job, you know? A lot of agents just want to have the business handed to them. The failure rate as an agent pre-COVID in New York is 88%, which means damn near 9 out of every 10 agents that get into the business fall out within the first 2 years. Now, do I attribute that just strictly to the agents? No. You know, brokerages are at fault too, but a lot of it has to fall on the shoulders of an agent because they don't want to do their job. You know, I remember that.
I would say it's like 80% agent responsibility, 20% broker responsibility. I think people inherently are lazy, and I think brokers as a whole are offering shit training.
Definitely. I agree 100%. 100%. I remember reading, I do my books through Audible because I move around way too much to sit down and read a book. Also, I hate reading. That's not my thing. So I've had to just have my headphones in and receive the knowledge that way. So I remember listening to Josh Altman's book, The Altman Close, and he gave an opinion of, there we go. He gave an opinion of agents need to go out and get their certification in interior design.
Okay.
And I would be like, Interior design. But it made a lot of sense when I thought about it, because now it's kind of like, okay, I can actually sell the house. I can actually say what kind of stone this is, what kind of appliances these are, who's the architect. Like, I can actually sell the house with confidence and know what I'm talking about. Because, some clients will come in and ask, what kind of floors are these? Where are these floors imported from? And we don't know nothing. It's, like that's typically what it is. So I remember signing up for one and it was $3,000. And that's like the only in-person, I'm an in-person type of person, which is crazy. I got to make the adjustment to Zoom, but like, as far as like education and things are concerned, I got to do the class in person. And that's exactly when Corona hit. And I was just like, because they shut this, the school down for interior design. And I was like,
Yep.
Oh man. So it's so crazy that you say that, like tax grievance expert and an architect and getting your license for a mortgage, like just expanding your knowledge on that kind of a level.
Of course. Yeah, that's what it takes, man. That's what's going to separate you from the order taker who's just like, sign this and let me list it on MLS, and the person that really is into it.
That right there is actually a big reason as to why a lot of agents can't get, most agents, 6%. Yeah, we will all love 6%, but a lot of agents don't know why they're worth that. Like, what value are you providing? So once you say, I can market your house better than any other agent, it's kind of like, how you're going to put it on Street Easy or Zillow? Like, what else are you going to do? You want to take pictures? Well, I can get somebody for 4% to take pictures. I can get somebody for 3% to take pictures if that's what you're going to do. Now, once you just said, listen, I got my license in appraisal. I actually have my license in doing a mortgage. I can actually vet better than the other 20 agents that came in here and tried to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. Only difference is
there's a lot of levels to that. Like Brian Karp, absolute animal, last year he sold 185 houses in COVID by himself. The year before he sold 205 houses. So he gets 6%, and he walks in there and they're like, hi, Brian. And they say to him, somebody else will do it for 4. And he said, well, if you want the best, you're going to pay 6. And they pay 6 because they want the best. You get a guy like Dan O'Neill who struts into a listing appointment and gets 6% because he's like, yo, check out these crazy videos I do that have like 15,000 views on this dude's house. Who's going to get you more exposure? Who's going to get you the most money? It's me. I'm jumping in a swimming pool with a suit on and then jumping into a Ferrari, cruising by your house with the hottest girl you've ever seen in your entire life. Who is going to get you the most money for your house?
That's deep. Oh man, I've been, as a single agent, trying to get to 50 deals a year. You said these guys are doing 200.
Brian Karp 2 years ago did 205 deals by himself. Confirmed.
As a single
agent with assistants. And he did 185 last year in COVID, and he was shut down for 3 months.
So imagine if he had the other quarter to do business.
Of course, he forget 200. That's what I'm saying. Like, the guy, and all he does is listings. He never goes to closings. He sends a box of cookies with his face on it. That's what he does. His entire life is regimented out in 30-minute increments. He's the best, bro. He's the best.
That's crazy. I gotta meet him. I gotta meet him if you can be so kind to connect it. I would love to talk to him.
And he's an amazing guy too. Like, listen, he's selling $300,000 and $400,000 houses on Long Island. There are guys that are making more money selling big luxury. But for what he's done, I would say he's top 3 in the nation. To sell that kind of volume by yourself in New York, which is the hardest place to do anything, I think. He's the best.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, stories like that make me know I'm not doing enough.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, just when you think you're doing enough,
it inspires me. Oh man.
Yeah, just when you think you're doing enough, you hear about that guy. He's just like, bro, I got to stop sleeping. I just got to stop
Yeah.
sleeping. I can't do it.
Oh, that is crazy. Now, what type of property catches your eye?
I cast a really wide net, so I buy anything, man. I really do. Like I will buy, a house in Bellport or Mastic that'll turn into a Section 8 rental. I'll buy a traditional house that I'll fix and flip. I'll take a house and put a dormer on it. I'll knock a house down and build a house. I'll buy a gas station. I'm buying a Temple right now and turning them to an assisted living and a Popeyes, self-storage, affordable. I'm doing a big affordable housing deal in Brooklyn right now,
crazy.
450 units. Like if it turns into money somehow, I want to do it. And the thing about me is I position myself in a way to have the education where I have a million different verticals. So if you bring me a piece of property, like somebody bought me a piece of property, it was a body shop, and it was overpriced for what it was, and nobody wanted it. And the seller was like just a pain in the ass on the number. So I gave it to them subject to getting the approvals to build an assisted living facility. So I felt that I could get that done. And 2 weeks ago I did. So what was once an overpriced deal for what it is now a bargain for what it now is. But you have to you have to put yourself in a position. Like I invested a lot of time. Like, bro, I did 67 houses my third year in the game and went back to NYU and spent $100,000 a night to get a degree in real estate development.
That's crazy.
But because of that, I'm doing shit I never would have been able to do before. And that thing is paid for itself tons over.
Man. When you say that reminds me of, people will look at, Kanye West, regardless of how people view him. Multi-millionaire at the time. Took an internship at Louis Vuitton to learn more.
Yeah. Real talk. That's what it takes.
They have I don't know if it's Harvard, where they have a class for entrepreneurs, but you already have to be established. Like you already have to be a millionaire. That's the only way you can get into like be a multimillionaire to get in there. And it's like, you're already at that level. Why would you want to go back to school for more? You already know, but it's like, no, like this knowledge is going to take you further than where you are right now.
Exactly. It's like, what are you in the game for? I remember a different analogy. Like I was a kid. You remember, the band Coldplay?
Yeah.
So I was a kid and I remember hearing this thing. This shit stuck with me, which is kind of weird. And they were talking about on the radio how Coldplay had, gone platinum or whatever it was. Like Coldplay had sold an insane amount of albums. And as soon as they sold those albums, the lead singer went and took voice lessons. And they were laughing at the guy. They're like, why is this dude going to take voice lessons? He's like a legendary, worldwide known rock star. And it's just the discipline and the dedication to and the commitment to your craft. It never ends, man.
That's super inspiring right there. Voice lessons.
Boy,
the guy is a platinum artist. He's in a platinum group. That's crazy.
So dudes are saying to me, they're like, Charles, you just flipped 67 houses. If you were really as big as you said you were, why are you going back to school? And I was like, you just don't get it. But they get it today. When you see me on the front page of the real estate section in Newsday as the biggest flipper on Long Island, when you see me in the cover of Long Island Business News turning a Temple into an assisted living facility, like that's why.
And when you went back to school, was there a lot of things you didn't know as opposed to a lot of things you knew already?
Going back to school at this point was cool because I already had a base. So a lot of the people that were there were kids. So they couldn't really relate the teachings to real life because they didn't have any real life experience. Me, I'm 41 years old. I went back, I was 37. At 37 and already done, 300 deals or whatever it was. I can relate what the professors were telling me way easier than they could because I have the real world experience. Plus it's the network too. Like now all the professors are my friends. I could call them. They're great resources. They're the best at what they do in New York, right? So some of them are the best at what they do in the world. So imagine now you have that network where you could pick up the phone and you could call somebody like, bro, I went to school with, developers' kids. Like that 450 unit affordable housing development deal came because of NYU. I went to NYU. I met a guy who worked at an affordable housing developer. He taught me about affordable housing. Then I took an affordable housing class. Then this deal came through that was perfect for affordable housing. I call him up. We're doing a JV. His company has 40 years experience doing this. And it's a huge deal. It's a $140 million deal. So none of that happens if I don't go to NYU.
If you don't go to, that's crazy.
Yeah, none of it happens, though, bro. I mean, crazy shit. I go to NYU and then I learn real intricate, granular analysis on rental properties. I buy an 8-unit apartment building in Patchogue because now I feel confident doing that. In that process, I meet a guy who ends up becoming my friend, who ends up pioneering the technology for the first legally printed 3D printed house in the country. Is my boy.
What?
I'm out there making a video at his place. It's got 150,000 views in the last 2 weeks. Now I'm buying a piece of land and I'm going to be the first private developer to build a legally 3D printed house for sale. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't connect the dots going forward. You got to be able to look back. But if I don't take those chances, I'm not here right now.
What went through your mind and made you say, I need to go back to NYU?
So, and then I apologize. I got to wrap it up in a couple of minutes.
No, it's cool.
Call. But so when I went to NYU at the beginning of my journey to take that class in foreclosures, not knowing anything about real estate, there was something inside me that I remember, like my ultimate goal at the beginning was to have a REIT. Now I want to have a private equity fund, which is like similar, but just a little bit different. And I remember being in NYU and I took this one day intensive and the talent pool was so amazing. And I remember thinking to myself at that moment, I was like, and I was a bad student, bro. Like I barely got out of high school. And NYU, the development program is one of the top 3 in the country. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not ready to be here now, but I'm going to have to come back here to go through this place in order to get where I know I got to go. And that's why, like, as soon as I hit that point, I'm like, yo, the market's great. It's not going to last forever. I got the money now. I can invest that $100,000 in myself. I'm going back to school.
That's crazy. Last question. What is your craziest real estate story?
Craziest real estate story. I don't really necessarily have like a craziest real estate story. I mean, there's stuff that happens with development and politics and just craziness that would just blow your mind. It's like out of a movie. But I've been in some of the nastiest freaking. I mean, here's something that's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the craziest, but it's an interesting thing. So and this is just to show people that anything's possible. I buy a house recently on an auction web. So I go on this auction website and I'm bidding, and I keep losing, but it doesn't hit the mark. All of a sudden I get a call from California from the asset manager. And I'm like, this is awesome because asset managers never call you to try to make a deal. We end up making a deal on the property. This is mid-COVID and the property has people in it. So for all intents and purposes, it could take me like 2 years to get these people out. So I get the property under contract. I'm like, I'm going to roll the dice. I go there. I actually have a video about this, how to negotiate with squatters, and this house is in there. I knock on the door. Gentleman comes in a robe, and I'm like, listen, sir, I just want to introduce myself. I'm buying this house tomorrow. I just wanted to introduce myself and see what we could do to, help you relocate or whatever. Now, this guy could have told me to F off. He could have told me anything. Could have slammed the door. Could have sicked this dog on me. Who the hell knows, right?
Yeah.
He says, someone's going to call you. So I get a call from a lady. Very nice lady. The lady ends up being the owner of the house, who was married before, who lost the house in foreclosure due to a divorce. That gentleman I spoke to is actually her new husband. So her credit is shot. That dude works for the MTA and they love the house and they don't want to leave. So I end up selling them back their own house.
Wow.
Without ever going inside the house. So sometimes shit like that happens at a big premium for like 45% more than what I paid for.
Than what you paid for it. That's crazy.
And I never even went in.
That's insane.
Real talk.
That's insane. Charles, I appreciate you so much for giving me your time. You know, you dropped a wealth of knowledge on me, and it was a genuine conversation. I promise you, I didn't get to any of my questions. it was just, you know,
that's cool, man.
The knowledge you were giving me and everything like that. And you really inspired me to go about my real estate career a whole different way. And I hope to the ears, from your mouth to their ears, everybody who hears this, real estate agents as well, you know, step your game up and anything's possible, you know, without even stepping foot in a house.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. But you got to be in the game, and to be in the game, you got to get the education, man. You do. And listen, like you, I thank you for the opportunity to speak and to share your platform with you. I thank you for the kind words and for spending the time to consume my content. And hopefully, you know, other people get something out of it as well.
Definitely. When this thing is over, we gotta get up. Coffee's on me.
That's what's up, man. Real talk. Definitely. I would appreciate that. And I would love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a great one, man.
Take care, brother. You too.
Bye. Well, there you guys have it. The Handsome Homebuyer. That's crazy. That's insane. I promise you. I didn't get to any of my questions. Maybe one. The only question I got to was, what type of property catches your eye? This was a genuine conversation. That was insane. Charles, when you see this again, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that's it for me. Wrapping this thing up. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Stay safe. With love. Peace.